When you picture an athlete, it's probably the washboard abs of Cristiano Ronaldo or the raging biceps of LeBron James that come to mind. And yet, 3-time Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes and 3-time NBA MVP Nikola Jokic don't have any of that. Instead, they're part of a new generation who are redefining what peak sporting physique looks like. They're part of the generation that's embraced the Dad Bod. The phrase Dad Bod officially began to enter the lexicon in 2015, but a year before that, a relatively unknown, chubby 19-year-old Serbian called Nikola Jokic arrived at the P3 Peak Performance Project training lab in California. P3 ran a number of tests on Jokic and discovered he was not an explosive jumper. In fact, his vertical leap was the worst they had ever recorded. He was not particularly powerful either, but where Jokic did stand out was his measurements and granular biomechanics. Hundreds of variables that rate things like force production, loads, and joint extension. He ranked above average in almost everything, and despite not being in traditional peak physique, he had a portfolio of some of the most useful physical tools and movements in basketball. P3 gave Jokic's data cluster the name kinematic movers. As a group of players who fall into this category have longer careers on average and accumulate more win shares, a statistic which attempts to divide up credit for team success to the individuals on the team. Luka Doncic also began going to P3 not long after, and was another player who did not score well in traditional metrics like sprint speed, vertical jump, or bench press. But what the future All-Star did have was a 92nd percentile score in the category eccentric movement, or the ability to go at full speed and then stop suddenly, a characteristic that is essential for his signature step-back threes. It's this superpower that has allowed Doncic to dominate a league in which LeBron James reportedly spends $1.5 million on his body per year, while still having a recovery beer after games. Athletes have now started to tailor their training to sport-specific skills and recovery over aesthetics goals. Patrick Mahomes has been working with performance trainer Bobby Stroop since the age of 9. And in their first session together, Stroop realized Mahomes was not particularly fast. But what he did have was the ability to understand momentum and space, and an eclectic range of movement like crawling, twisting, chopping, and swinging. 20 years later, his 40-yard dash time is still not especially impressive. But he runs faster on curves than he does in straight lines, has reaction times that are off the charts, and is a master of decelerating under control. To hone these skills, Mahomes adopts a training regime that Stroop calls the cake system, because it focuses on 8 layers: movement literacy, force absorption, force transmission, pattern stability, tissue resiliency, mobility, stability, and flexibility. This hasn't left Mahomes with the abs of Ronaldo, but it has given him the skill set to become the best quarterback in the NFL. And for all the jokes made about his flabby physique, it has partly been sculpted by design. It's Stroop's belief that NFL quarterbacks should have at least 14% body fat in order to absorb contact, and Dad Bod QBs like Tom Brady and the Manning brothers certainly back this up. Baseball is another sport where having a little extra timber isn't necessarily a bad thing. Hall of Fame pitcher CC Sabathia argued that mass equals gas, and that he needed a big ass to throw hard. And research backs this up. A recent study by Tread Athletics found that the increase in average body weight of MLB pitchers from 1994 to 2010 has correlated with skyrocketing fastball velocity. There are, of course, nuances to this, but there is also a psychological aspect to physical appearance. Tread's co-founder argues if they feel better being 20% body fat, there's no reason they have to be 10% body fat. Other sports have examples of Dad Bod sporting stars who have reached the top of the game. Jon Rahm is far from the physical ideal that was espoused for years by Tiger Woods in golf, while Tyson Fury's pudgy midsection has served as an antidote to the Adonis-like Anthony Joshua in heavyweight boxing. And yet the preconceptions of what a sporting star should look like still exist. Cricketer Shane Warne was one of the best fast bowlers of all time, but he claimed that he used a banned diuretic in 2003 in order to lose weight ahead of a TV appearance. In soccer, meanwhile, a 2024 study found that 81% of players at Premier League clubs were not meeting guidelines for the amount of carbohydrates needed to fuel them for a game, and that many were going on diets to reduce body fat and satisfy the demands of their managers. Traditional ripped physiques are still the norm, but with stars like Mahomes, Jokic, Doncic, and many more reaching the top, perhaps it's time for sports to open their minds to more complete measurements of athleticism and embrace the Dad Bod.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to the best team of sports writers, reporters, and analysts in the world, offering exclusive stories and unrivaled insight. You can try The Athletic for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.